there. Thank you so much for being with us on this Friday afternoon. It is now 3 p.m. in the east, 12 p.m. out west, and I'm Veronica Dela Cruz. Welcome to ScrIpps News Live. We begin this hour with some somber images from Ukraine as the country marks 1 year since Russia invaded. Today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky pleaded for respect from Russia as the war rages on and the death toll continues to climb with no end in sight. Now, this afternoon, Secretary of State Antony Blinken addressed the UN Security Council and reiterated America's goal for peace and a diplomatic solution to end the war. The Secretary of State also told the UN that abandoning Ukraine would be the same as abandoning everything the Security Council stood for.
No country has endured greater hardship from Russia's war than Ukraine. But almost every country has felt the pain. And yet, nations around the world continue to stand with Ukraine. Because we all recognize that if we abandon Ukraine, we abandon the UN Charter itself and the principles and rules that make all countries safer and more secure.
ScrIpps News correspondent Sally Patterson joining us now live from New York. And Sally, today marks the 1 year anniversary of the invasion. Tell us about what came out of the Security Council meeting today.
That's right. Very strong words there from Secretary of State Antony Blinken. He addressed that Security Council meeting here in New York before around 30 other representatives from different member states also took to the floor to give their words and their impressions 1 year after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, the Secretary of State said that no country should be seizing land by force, no erasing another country's borders, no targeting civilians in war. Now, he also criticised countries that he saw as sitting on the fence and refusing to call out Russia directly. He said members of this council should not fall into the false equivalency of calling on both sides to stop fighting or calling on other nations to stop supporting Ukraine in the name of peace. Now, we also saw an address from the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and he pointed to some of those figures that we've seen coming out from the United Nations over the past few days about the millions of people, Ukrainians, who've been displaced because of the war, both around Ukraine itself, but also around the rest of Europe. He pointed that these were mainly women and children. He also pointed to the potential mental health effects that this war could see on people in the future, saying that many, up to millions of them, could be susceptible to post-traumatic stress disorder. And he pointed to the fact that 40% of people in Ukraine require humanitarian assistance and were unable to access enough food to eat. He said that millions of people were affected by hospitals being bombed as well as schools. And so strong messages from a number of countries who spoke after him, as I say, around 30, taking the stand. Now, we did see a moment of disruption right near the beginning of the meeting, where after Ukraine's foreign minister spoke himself, he asked for a moment's silence, but Russia's representative interrupted as people were beginning to stand, calling for a moment's silence for all the victims of the ongoing situation, going back to 2014, and there was a moment of hesitancy from people in the room as to whether to stand or to sit back down, but that moment of silence was eventually held.
And Sally, we understand that yesterday the General Assembly voted for peace in Ukraine. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, we did eventually see that resolution being passed, with 141 member states voting in favour of passing a resolution calling for long-lasting peace in Ukraine. We saw 7 countries vote against, more than 30 abstained, and several others didn't vote at all. Now, 2 countries weren't allowed to vote, and that's Venezuela and Lebanon, because they owed money to the United Nations. That vote came after 2 days of debate within the United Nations General Assembly. And we saw many countries taking that moment to stand up and give their perspective on the war a year in. Now, we also saw strong words from China during that debate, where they condemned the West for continuing to send in weapons to Ukraine, saying that that would not bring around long-lasting peace, and they were one of the countries to abstain. Russia voted against, as did a few other countries. But now that resolution doesn't have any legal power. It's more of a moral signalling of the weight of the international community 1 year into Russia's invasion.
Sally Patterson reporting live for us from New York, right outside the United Nations there. Sally, thank you so much. So after a year of shelling and attacks, Ukrainians have gathered evidence of the violence, brutal scars of horrific aggression. And now the painstaking effort to document what appears to be war crimes is underway. ScrIpps News' Jason Blaney spent many months in Ukraine and witnessed this firsthand.
These thousands of rockets, missiles, shells brought terror to Ukraine's second largest city. The field is unmarked for fear of attracting a Russian strike, and we've obscured details that could help identify its location. Because now, this is evidence of war crimes.
Wings.
Meticulously collected.
X-55 rockets.
It's a painstaking process, says prosecutor Dmytro Chebenko.
Yeah, titanium. This is engine of rocket.
What's this right here? Most of these shells are numbered, Chubenko says. That's how prosecutors record the addresses where the missiles were found. After each attack, we take photos and videos, record the GPS coordinates of the damaged site and the GPS coordinates of the remains of the missiles, he says. War crimes cases require specificity, all the way down to presenting in a courtroom which missile destroyed which hospital, which school, which playground. Even after a long time, in a year, 2, 3, or more, we can reconstruct the circumstances of the war crimes, he says. This is fewer than half of the missiles that they've collected here in Kharkiv. There's another missile graveyard about the same size. And then there are the missiles that didn't explode that are too dangerous to keep here. The ones in this field, destroyed, maimed, killed. What is the most advanced missile that is here? These are cruise missiles, Chebenko says. They're very expensive and quite accurate. They cost $2, $3, $4 million for one missile. Proving Russian intent to hit a civilian target may prove challenging. That's why specific missile details matter. These are very important missiles for us, he says. This material evidence will prove the guilt of Russia's top military and political leadership, the culpability of Putin, the Minister of Defense, the commanders for the murders of civilians. Chubenko says his office estimates that these missiles that hit Kharkiv cost Russia more than $100 million. What they cost Ukraine in lives ruined and taken, incalculable.
Getting you now to some other news. Back in the U.S., we're taking a look at some images now, providing perspective on the severe weather that's been sweeping the nation. This satellite image shows this massive winter storm just swirling over communities from the southwest to the northeast right now. Close to 900,000 people coast to coast remain without power. Hundreds of flights are canceled or delayed as this system hammers cities with snow, wind, and ice. But perhaps the wildest thing to come out of this winter storm is the weather that we are seeing right now in Southern California. Take a look at this. LA's famed Hollywood sign. It's capped with snow. And the National Weather Service office in San Diego making history as well, issuing its first blizzard warning ever for the San Bernardino Mountains. ScrIpps News meteorologist Scott Withers has more on the historic weather that we are seeing across the West Coast right now.
This storm is already causing chaos up and down the West Coast, near record-breaking snows, drivers stranded in their cars, and a National Weather Service office issuing its first ever blizzard warning. Portland, Oregon taking the first direct hit. The storm dropping 11 inches of snow on the city, the second largest snowfall in Portland's history. Drivers throughout the region abandoning their cars, even a school bus there. Law enforcement officers had to go out and help rescue people trapped on the roads. Heavy snow also falling across Northern California, snarling traffic. You can't even see through the road camera there. Parts of Interstate 80, which runs through the Lake Tahoe area all the way through Sacramento into San Francisco, closed down in parts of it, forced to close because of the snowfall. Caltrans says plows are out there working right now trying to get it reopened. The Sierra Nevada mountains could get up to 5 more feet of snow just today. The snow dusting the Hollywood sign. Yeah, look, this is Los Angeles, covering roofs of the mansions that are near that. Look, you can see the snow right there. Blizzard warning is in place for the mountains surrounding the city. It's the first since 1989. Now, the National Weather Service office in San Diego issuing its first ever blizzard warning. This is the San Bernardino Mountains just east of LA, including the Big Bear Resort area. They could see 4 feet of snow today, winds gusting 60 miles per hour. The roads through the mountains are, as you can imagine, treacherous. And a foot of snow fell early yesterday. The blizzard conditions are starting now and will last through Friday. Travel across this entire region near impossible. Law enforcement just begging people, hey, just stay off the roads. Want to show you, here's the winter storm swirling off the coast. This is the western coast of California, swirling out here in the Pacific. Moisture moving really quickly into northern California. That's Oregon getting hammered as well. More of this heading into southern California as you can see it moving in. That's going to be today and tomorrow. And inland, the snow. Look at that going across Utah here. Cold temperatures hitting Colorado. That is Wyoming way out there. Hundreds of miles of roads out there closed right now across that state because of just 1-2 punch from these storms this week. The Highway Patrol begging people stay off the roads. Don't even try. They are impassable. Now, the severe weather alerts this morning covering the western U.S. Pink and purple. Those are the winter storms. Those cover all of central and northern California, including the San Francisco Bay Area, inland to Sacramento and up through Lake Tahoe and across Nevada. The bright red, the blizzard warnings across California's inner core and surrounding the Los Angeles area. The pale green, you see that all up there? That is the wind chill alerts. Going to feel like 50 below in parts of Montana. Maritza's going to tell you that. She was out there. It was cold. The Dakota's also pretty cold. Storm moves inland this weekend. And on Sunday, look, we've got our avocados back. Got an enhanced risk of strong thunderstorms and tornadoes across Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Two big storms back-to-back in just 1 week. Some sad news out of Michigan. A firefighter in Paw Paw was killed while responding to downed power lines from the ice storm that moved through earlier this week. These winter storms are dangerous. The best thing is just stay home until it passes and the roads are cleared.
All right, Scotty, thank you so much. Coming up on ScrIpps News Live, a strong and emotional message from the Ukrainian president as the war-torn country marks 1 year since the Russian invasion. We'll be right back.
This year, Americans will spend $41 billion on auto repairs.
That's right, billions with a B. Why is that number so high? Because cars break down. Your vehicle is going to end up in a shop like this too, and if it's no longer under warranty, you're the one who has to pay the bill, and it could cost you thousands of dollars. That is, unless you call CarShield. With a plan through CarShield, administrators will pay for those costly repairs directly to the mechanic of your choice, including dealerships. That means you get protection on major parts and systems like the engine, transmission, electrical systems, and more. Plus, 24/7 emergency services for flat or damaged tires, lockouts, dead batteries, and towing at no additional cost. And there are even rental car options to keep you on the road.
An unexpected car repair can wreak havoc in somebody's house when they don't have the money. Nobody should have to decide whether they should put food on the table or pay for a car repair. If you're driving an out-of-warranty car, it's not a matter of if it'll break down, it's when. So you need to call CarShield before it does. It's nice to find a company like CarShield that actually cares about their customers.
CarShield has a rich history of dependability, reliability, and success, and has been featured on leading networks like ABC, CNN, Fox News, and more. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company.
My mom told me to call CarShield, and I saved $5,000. You should always listen to your mom.
As soon as my car broke down, CarShield jumped into action, and I had my car back within days.
I've been with CarShield for close to 7 years. I have 3 vehicles covered, and I saved close to $9,000.
I called CarShield and saved over $5,000.
Yes, CarShield is a good value. Every plan through CarShield comes with a price lock guarantee, which means no matter how many repairs you need, the price you pay today will never change for as long as you cover your car.
Call now and save money with your price lock guarantee. It's not a matter of if your car will break down, but when. Call CarShield now before it's too late. Call 800-287-5264. 800-287-5264.
Weekday afternoons, focus on the lighter side.
We want to show you there's always a silver lining.
Afternoon Focus. Today at 4:30, 3:30 Central on ScrIpps News.
Join renowned journalists and filmmakers.
Oh my God.
For news stories every week.
What else do we have to take?
ScrIpps News Showcase. Sunday nights at 9/8 Central on ScrIpps News.
Well, this morning in the Ukrainian capital, President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered an emotional and powerful speech to his country. He met with families of fallen soldiers and those wounded in the war. Russia's invasion left parts of Ukraine destroyed and lifeless. But that's not how you can describe the spirit of the Ukrainian people who still stand strong 1 year later. Correspondent Will Denslow is live for us in Kyiv, Ukraine. Will, let's talk about marking this 1 year anniversary. Tell us about the remembrance ceremony today in Kyiv and how President Zelensky has been marking the day and honoring the fallen.
Well, Veronica, it's been an incredibly emotional day, as you suggested, and really a very varied day for the country's President Volodymyr Zelensky. It started really with some very poignant remarks that he gave. He said that a year ago, Ukraine was essentially faced with a choice to wave a white flag of surrender or instead to wave the Ukrainian flag. Of course, Ukraine chose the latter and continued to fight. He added that it has also been a painful and contrasting year for Ukraine. He said one filled with pain, with sorrow, faith, as well as unity. He also took time to honour those that have died, whether they're soldiers or civilians. To the soldiers, he thanked them for their continued service. He said without them fighting against the Russians every single day, Ukraine would simply not exist. And speaking to the press, Volodymyr Zelensky in a press conference had some very pointed words to Russia's President Vladimir Putin. He said he would not sit down at the negotiating table with him. He also said that NATO had hit the reset button because of the war, and he also had a defiant tone as well. He said that 2023 could be the year of victory, and ultimately he said that victory for Ukraine was inevitable. Veronica?
What are Ukrainians doing today in the meantime? What has the reaction been like, and what is the morale like among the citizens of Ukraine now that they have hit that 1 year mark?
Well, for many, it's certainly a day of reflection. Let's not forget that so many lives have been lost here in the country. The United Nations estimate that officially at least 8,000 people have died. They say that a true figure could be far higher than that. When it comes to the displacement, well, internally displaced people, more than 5 million. And we, of course, know that millions of Ukrainians are still outside the country after they fled over the course of the past year. So a chance to really reflect on what has been such a tumultuous year for the country. We've heard from Vitaly Klitschko, the mayor of Kyiv. He provided some rather stark statistics. He said that air alert sirens have rung out over 600 times here in the capital city alone in the past year. But of course, defiance is another message, and while it has been incredibly tough, many echo the sentiment of Ukraine's president, and Ukraine is still here and will continue to fight for its territorial integrity, and will continue until all its territory, not just that lost in the past year, but lost over nearly the past 10 years, is reclaimed.
Well, on this anniversary of the invasion, I know that the United States has pledged an additional $2 billion in Ukraine security aid, and we're hearing that other countries are also planning to send more aid to Ukraine. What will that aid look like?
Well, we know that Poland's Prime Minister was here earlier in the day, and he came with him equipped with 4 Leopard 2 tanks. Of course, these types of battle tanks have been so long anticipated here in Kyiv. And of course, we know that for months, Ukraine was asking its allies to send them and to send them as soon as possible. So this is certainly seen as a marked occasion. Poland also stressing that more are still on the way. And it wasn't just Poland providing more quantitative action for Ukraine on the battlefield going forward. We know that Sweden has pledged 10 Leopard 2 tanks. Germany has increased the amount of tanks it will pledge. We've seen more military support and financial support from a number of nations, Canada pledging more than $30 million too. We also know that Volodymyr Zelensky has had a meeting with the G7 members. The G7 have committed to strengthening their ties diplomatically, financially and militarily. And Volodymyr Zelensky taking to social media. He gave some updates on that call with G7 leaders. He said that he listed some priorities, including more weapons, more sanctions against Russia and Russian entities, more financing, more justice and unity. He said he was confident that progress could be made on all those points.
All right, well, Denzel reporting live from Kyiv, Ukraine for us. Well, thank you so much. Straight ahead on ScrIpps News Live, the AIDS epidemic is felt all over the world, but the effects on one region of the world are unprecedented. How the U.S. is preventing the disease from claiming even more lives. That's next.
If you're on Medicare or retiring soon, making sure you have the right Medicare coverage is important. So talk to United Healthcare and take advantage of a broad range of plans, including an AARP Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. It can combine your hospital and doctor coverage with Part D prescription drug coverage and more, all in one simple plan for a low monthly premium, or in some areas, no plan premium at all. Take advantage of $0 copays on primary care visits, virtual visits, and lab tests. Plus, new for 2023, more dental coverage than ever before, with $0 copays on all covered services from network dentists. You'll also get free yearly eye exams with free frames and prescription lenses. Now's the time to look at United Healthcare's variety of plans and let us help find the one that works best for you. Ask about PPO plans, too. They let you see any doctor who accepts Medicare without a referral and pay in-network costs at home or traveling when you see doctors in the United Healthcare Medicare National Network. Take advantage of $0 copays on hundreds of prescriptions at the pharmacy or with home delivery. And new this year, our Medicare Advantage plan members can enjoy no deductibles on most prescriptions. Enjoy a free gym membership, too, with access to premium gyms nationwide. As always, you can count on United Healthcare to help you get the care you need when you need it. We can even help schedule appointments or find a specialist. If you're on Medicare or retiring soon, call United Healthcare or go online today. We make it easy to enroll, too. Enjoy all the benefits of the only Medicare Advantage plans with the AARP name. Take advantage now.
You're looking pretty good, Mr. Johnson. But we need to take some x-rays today.
That's why.
Yes, x-rays are expensive, but the front desk said you recently enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan with extra benefits that now cover today's x-rays and cleaning costs.
Wow, okay.
Well, Medicare Parts A and B do not cover your routine dental coverage like cleanings, fillings, or x-rays. Yes, you have a Medicare Part C plan, commonly called Medicare Advantage. Medicare Part C plans cover everything in Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits like dental, vision, and hearing.
Wow. That's great that my plan includes dental coverage that helps pay for these costs.
Yes, Mr. Johnson. A Medicare Part C plan could include dental coverage that pays for routine dental exams and teeth cleanings, dental x-rays, fillings, tooth extractions, root canals, dentures, implants, and crowns.
If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call to speak with a licensed insurance agent. You don't get a plan with these benefits automatically, so it's always good to call to see if there's a plan with extra benefits available in your zip code. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans available with additional benefits that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B, like routine dental coverage. In fact, 24 million Medicare beneficiaries do not have any dental coverage. Here's the good news. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. Remember, you don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2023 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-614-5203. 800-614-5203.
More than 38 million people are living with AIDS worldwide, and hundreds of thousands still die from the disease every year. More than 25 million of those cases are in sub-Saharan Africa. But as national correspondent Joe St. George shows us, that number would likely be a lot higher if it weren't for bipartisan policy in Washington 2 decades ago.
There's a good chance that you don't trust this building behind me. In fact, according to Pew Research, only 20% of Americans trust the government to do the right thing always or most of the time. The reason for this distrust is obvious: political scandal, political gridlock, wasteful spending on occasion. But every now and then, our nation's government does something and enacts a policy that changes the world. If you were to get out the globe and start spinning it, the first global policy accomplishment that comes to mind probably isn't PEPFAR, which stands for President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. But that's exactly what we're talking about.
Many hospitals tell people, you've got AIDS. We can't help you.
It's now been 20 years since former President Bush announced an ambitious policy of reducing AIDS deaths in Africa. $100 billion plus and countless bipartisan votes later, over 25 million lives are estimated to have been saved, according to the State Department.
I have also lost many relatives, and I could see children who were born with HIV not making it to the age of 5.
Tinashe Rufuwadzu was born in Zimbabwe and says the decline in HIV-related deaths from the 2000s has been remarkable. In the early 2000s, over 2 million people were dying each year. In 2021, 420,000 people died. And while that's still high, it's no longer such an obvious part of society.
You cannot tell with your eyes that this person is living with HIV because of the treatment.
This topic is in the news this week with First Lady Jill Biden in Africa and former President Bush making a rare visit to Washington to celebrate 20 years of PEPFAR and our country's HIV and AIDS response. While the United States has no doubt done a lot to help Africa and the global AIDS fight over the last 20 years, there is a continued push to do more.
One of the politicians was also quoted saying that there's no need to treat people who identify as LGBTIQ+ at health facilities.
Rufuwadzu tells us inequality still exists on the continent, which is why he says Washington still needed.
We still have a ways to go.
That's a message that Dr. Wafa El-Sadar, an epidemiologist who has worked in Africa for decades, shares. PEPFAR is up for reauthorization this year in Congress, a place where funding anything has become more political. El-Sadar says with the White House recently announcing an initiative to end the HIV and AIDS epidemic globally by 2030, this is no time to start playing politics.
This is the time to actually really press on.
Joe St. George, ScrIpps News, Washington.
All right, Joe, thank you so much for that report. Here in the States, the federal fight against HIV and AIDS was launched in 2019. It's known as the EHE Initiative, or Ending the HIV Epidemic. Billions of dollars is invested every year with the goal of reducing new HIV infections in the United States by 90% in the year 2030. Straight ahead on ScrIpps News Live, consumer prices ticking up, the market's falling on the heels of this morning's new report on inflation. We're going to break down the numbers for you after a quick break.
As Americans, there's one thing we can all agree on: the promise of our Constitution and the hope that liberty and justice is for all people. But here's the truth. Attacks on our constitutional rights, yours and mine, are greater than they've ever been. The right for all to vote, reproductive rights, the rights of immigrant families, the right to equal justice for Black, brown, and LGBTQ+ folks. The time to act to protect our rights is now. That's why I'm hoping you'll join me today in supporting the American Civil Liberties Union. It's easy to make a difference. Just call or go online now and become an ACLU Guardian of Liberty. All it takes is just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Your monthly support will make you part of the movement to protect the rights of all people, including the fundamental right to vote.
States are passing laws that would suppress the right to vote. We are going backwards.
But the ACLU can't do this important work without the support of people like you. You can help ensure liberty and justice for all and make sure that every vote is counted. So please, call the ACLU now or go to myaclu.org and join us. And when you use your credit card, you'll receive this special We the People t-shirt and much more to show you're a part of the movement to protect the rights guaranteed to all of us by the U.S. Constitution.
We protect everyone's rights. The freedom of religion, the freedom of expression, racial justice, LGBTQ rights, the rights of the disabled. We are here for everyone.
It is more important than ever to take a stand. So please join us today, because We the People means all the people, including you. So call now or go online to myaclu.org to become a guardian of liberty.
When what's happening in the world hits home.
What strikes me is how many children are here.
And when reporting the news matters the most. ScrIpps News reports. Tonight at 8, 7 Central. Only on ScrIpps News.
Hey there, welcome back to ScrIpps News Live. It is now 30 minutes after the hour. Time to get you caught up on the day's top stories. So Southern Californians and others along the West Coast are shivering right now due to a winter storm. In fact, a blizzard warning is in effect 70 miles east of LA until 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Now, this same system has dumped up to 10 inches of rain over parts of Portland, Oregon. The Commerce Department is saying that consumer prices, or the costs of U.S. goods and services, has risen about 0.6% in January. They're up about 5.4% over a year ago, which means that inflation remains high despite Federal Reserve efforts to control it by raising key interest rates. And it's way above that 2% annual target rate that the Fed has been hoping to achieve. Overseas now to Ukraine, where President Volodymyr Zelensky had a simple message for the Russian president as he marks 1 year since Russia's invasion. Respect our right to live on our land, leave our territory, and stop bombing us. Zelensky also gave qualified support to a Chinese peace proposal. In the meantime, the U.S. imposed new sanctions on Russian firms, banks, and people. This morning, the U.S. announced a $2 billion aid package for Ukraine. It includes more rockets and artillery. And it all comes as President Biden and the rest of the G7 hosted President Zelensky, who was grateful for their continued support. Congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed joining us now live from Washington. So, Nate, we understand that the president met with G7 leaders today. What else has he been doing to commemorate this day?
Well, I think that package of support is a very large part of it. In addition to those rocket systems, as part of this latest drawdown, President Biden also sending what the administration is calling a large amount of 155mm ammunition, multiple types of aerial drones, and counter-aerial drones, which are aimed at strengthening Ukraine's air defenses and helping protect its people, also mine-clearing equipment and secure communications equipment. In addition to that, also $9.9 billion in grant financing, trying to help the Ukrainian civilian healthcare, education, and emergency services sectors, new sanctions against key revenue-generating sectors for 200 individuals and entities in Russia, also restricting exports from 90 Russian and third country companies, including some that are in China, also raising tariffs on 100 Russian metals, materials, and chemical products, roughly worth $2.8 billion to Russia. So President Biden trying to make clear in this one-year anniversary of the war that not only does the war in Ukraine and Ukraine's sovereignty matter a lot to the administration, but trying to back up those words with actions by deploying not only those additional sanctions, but additional support for Ukrainian partners.
Yeah, it really is a pretty massive aid package. But regarding additional aid to Ukraine, Nate, last year, a number of Republican members of Congress were indicating that they might not be supporting additional funding for Ukraine if they won a majority in Congress. Take a listen to this.
I will not vote for one more dollar to Ukraine. I will not vote for one more piece of materiel to Ukraine.
Nate, normally we find you on Capitol Hill because you cover Congress. What have you heard? Do you know if the Republican House will be sending more aid to Ukraine?
Well, about a month after Matt Gaetz made those comments in a press conference, before Republicans were clear that they had a majority in the 118th Congress, which we're now in, President Zelensky, of course, came to Congress, his first trip out of Ukraine since the war began. He delivered that joint address to a joint house of the Senate and the House in Congress. In that address, he asked for additional support. A number of Republicans, it's worth noting, even over this congressional recess, were in Kyiv, including Republican chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Michael McCaul. Also today, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell making these comments about Ukrainian support. Let's listen.
Those of us in Congress who were elected and who are members of my political party support continuing to support the Ukrainians. And so do the party of President Biden. My only criticism of the administration in our country so far is they haven't seemed to provide the weapons that are needed fast enough. and I hope they will do that.
Now, of course, Mitch McConnell can say he wants to support Ukraine all he wants. It's going to come down to Kevin McCarthy, the Republican Speaker of the House, as to whether he wants to or has the votes to put additional Ukraine funding on the floor of the House of Representatives for a vote. Senate Democrats, who are in the majority in that chamber, are very keen on providing additional support to Ukraine. It's worth noting that the White House told reporters this morning it believes the $40 billion that Congress appropriated for Ukraine last Congress is going to last through the end of this fiscal year. So it might be several months up until September till we're actually talking about another package of support from Congress to Ukraine. Certainly the question, though, of whether Kevin McCarthy is supportive of additional Ukrainian funding remains on the table.
Yeah, it could be a potential showdown when it finally comes around again. Nathaniel Reed reporting live from Washington, right outside the White House. Nate, thank you so much. So 58 years have passed since Malcolm X was assassinated. Coming up next on ScrIpps News Live, why his family filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the FBI, CIA, and the NYPD. We'll be right back.
Easy life insurance with Ethos.
Did someone say life insurance? Let's make this easy. In just 10 minutes, Ethos can help you protect your family's future for as little as $10 a month.
We're trusting a magic woman that just appeared in our kitchen.
Why not? Tens of thousands of families already have, and they really like us. Go to ethoslife.com and you can get same-day coverage up to $2 million.
Ethos. Life insurance so easy it feels like magic. Get a quote in seconds at ethoslife.com.
Are you on Medicaid and Medicare?
The U.S. government recently announced that 12.2 million citizens are eligible for additional benefits beyond what they received from the original Medicare or Medicaid.
These benefits may include $2,500 of dental credit, $900 of pharmacy credit, plus you could be adding up to $164 back into your Social Security check every month. Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification.
It's easy to see if you qualify.
Call Go Medicare at 800-718-0414.
And see if you're one of over 12 million who may qualify.
For $2,500 of dental credit, $900 of pharmacy credit. Plus, you could be adding up to $164 back into your Social Security check every month. Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification.
This call is 100% free with no obligation to enroll.
At 800-718-0414. Are you on Medicaid and Medicare?
The U.S. government recently announced that 12.2 million citizens are eligible for additional benefits beyond what they received from the original Medicare or Medicaid.
These benefits may include $2,500 of dental credit, $900 of pharmacy credit. Plus, you could be adding up to $164 back into your Social Security check every month. Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification. Call Go Medicare at 800-718-0414. If you have recently turned 65, you may be able to enroll in a new plan today that may include benefits like $2,500 of dental credit, $900 of pharmacy credit.
This call is 100% free with no obligation to enroll. So call today.
At 800-718-0414. That's 800-718-0414.
Celebrate global cultures and explore the wonders of the world with the Little Passport subscription.
Did you know islands are made from volcanoes?
It's an event every month, and he's excited to share it with me.
LittlePassports.com. Must be 18 years or older to order.
Forge of Empires. Play through our history and beyond. Build your own empire and travel through the ages. Enter a world where you can be whoever you want to be, whenever you want. Until it's time to be somewhere else. Play now, Forge of Empires. Available in the App Store and at FOE.tv.
Why is everyone talking about Navage and nasal irrigation?
I am one who suffers from chronic sinus infection.
You need to clean that crap out of your nose.
Navage is simple. Your nose is the body's air filter, but it's not perfect. Navage is a drug-free way to help flush out allergens, mucus, and germs using powered suction. Join nearly 3 million Navage users so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier.
I love this thing.
It's nice to breathe.
Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Sleep helps balance your hunger and fullness hormones. But when you don't get enough, hunger takes the wheel, and weight gain can follow. With the Aura Ring, you can learn how to sleep better and keep those appetite hormones balanced. It's like having the sleep lab on your finger.
Well, the family of Malcolm X is suing the CIA, the FBI, and the New York Police Department, alleging the agencies played a role in his assassination. The $100 million wrongful death lawsuit was announced this week on the anniversary of his 1965 assassination. It was made at the New York location where he was shot and killed.
The truth about the circumstances leading to the death of our father is important not only to his family, but to many followers, many admirers, many who look to him for guidance, for love. And it is our hope that litigation of this case will finally provide some unanswered questions. We want justice served for our father.
For years, there have been questions about the murder of Malcolm X. 3 men were convicted, but 2 were exonerated in 2021. The New York District Attorney admitted the case against them was flawed and some evidence had been withheld. The 3rd man later confessed to the killing and insisted the other 2 were innocent. Ben Crump is representing the family in this case. He is a civil rights attorney and the founder of the Ben Crump Law Firm. Ben, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Veronica.
Of course. So, question. Malcolm X died in 1965. It's been nearly 60 years. Why revisit this now? Can you outline the allegations in this lawsuit?
Certainly. You know, his family, for now 58 years, have always believed, as many people believe, that the government conspired with individuals to assassinate Malcolm X, one of the greatest thought leaders of the 21st century. We know that there are FBI documentation where J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, said, do something about Malcolm X. Less than a year from his direction to his COINTELPRO operators, Malcolm X was assassinated. And we know that just a year and 3 months ago, November 18, 2021, the government in New York, both on the city level and the state level, resolved the matter for tens of millions of dollars with 2 of the gentlemen who were wrongfully incarcerated for killing Malcolm X because they admitted they failed to disclose factual evidence and exculpatory evidence. And so, Veronica, it begs the question, if they would pay tens of millions of dollars to the 2 men wrongfully convicted for the assassination of Malcolm X, what is due to the people who suffered the most from the assassination of Malcolm X, which were his daughters?
And Ben, I want to go ahead and go through this, go through some of that evidence that came out when Mohammed Aziz and the late Khalil Islam were exonerated in 2021, like you were just saying. What did the New York District Attorney's Office say about how the case against them was handled? Give us a little bit more insight.
Yeah, they said that there was exculpatory evidence that would have proved that they were innocent, as they had maintained all along. Had that evidence been provided by the New York City Police and the federal agents and the New York District Attorney, these men would have never been wrongfully convicted. But the government fraudulently concealed, we believe at the very highest levels of the federal government, that evidence, that information. They kept it from these gentlemen and from Malcolm X's family. It was information that would have shown what really happened that day and who were involved. We know that there were several FBI informants in the room when Malcolm X was assassinated in the Audubon Theater 58 years ago. But also, it is very telling Veronica, the fact that they would go through such great effort to conceal the truth, that tells us that there's involvement to the highest levels of the federal government working in concert with New York Police Department. And we believe that many of these individuals are still alive. They're getting in advanced age, but we believe for the first time in this litigation, they will raise their right hand and swear to tell the truth of things that happen, and that they feel these young women who are now 58 years later finally seeking legal redress for the assassination of their father based on what happened in 2021 with the admission from the government.
I wanted to circle back to the two men that were exonerated, because New York City paid a $36 million settlement to Aziz and the estate of Khalil Islam. They each spent more than 20 years in prison. So is this finally justice for them? And on the flip side of things, it's not often that government entities are sued. So you're taking on the FBI, the CIA, among other agencies. How common is this, and do you believe you'll have success?
It is not very common, but we know there's a precedent for it. Martin Luther King family sued the government and got some compensation. Fred Hampton, the Black Panther leader in Chicago, who was assassinated by governmental entities, also sued and was compensated. But Malcolm X family has never been compensated for this tragic killing of him in front of his wife and his daughters. I mean, he was shot 21 times in their, within mere feet from where they were sitting. And so we believe, based on fraudulent concealment, as well as the intentional affliction of emotional distress, that they can finally get some measure of justice, like the two gentlemen got some measure of justice, even though true justice would have been them never being wrongfully incarcerated in the first place. And obviously, true justice for Malcolm X's daughters was their father not being killed so tragically and graphically in front of them. Can you imagine the nightmares that those little girls live with all their lives?
Ben Crump is a civil rights attorney who is representing the family in this case. Ben, thank you so much for your time today. We wish you nothing but luck. And we will be right back.
This year, Americans will spend $41 billion on auto repairs.
That's right, billions with a B. Why is that number so high? Because cars break down. Your vehicle is going to end up in a shop like this too, and if it's no longer under warranty, you're the one who has to pay the bill, and it could cost you thousands of dollars. That is, unless you call CarShield. With a plan through CarShield, administrators will pay for those costly repairs directly to the mechanic of your choice, including dealerships. That means you get protection on major parts and systems like the engine, transmission, electrical systems, and more. Plus, 24/7 emergency services for flat or damaged tires, lockouts, dead batteries, and towing at no additional cost. And there are even rental car options to keep you on the road.
An unexpected car repair can wreak havoc in somebody's house when they don't have the money. Nobody should have to decide whether they should put food on the table or pay for a car repair. If you're driving an out-of-warranty car, it's not a matter of if it'll break down, it's when. So you need to call CarShield before it does. It's nice to find a company like CarShield that actually cares about their customers.
CarShield has a rich history of dependability, reliability, and success, and has been featured on leading networks like ABC, CNN, Fox News, and more. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company.
My mom told me to call CarShield, and I saved $5,000. You should always listen to your mom.
As soon as my car broke down, CarShield jumped into action, and I had my car back within days.
I've been with CarShield for close to 7 years. I have 3 vehicles covered, and I saved close to $9,000. I called CarShield and saved over $5,000.
Yes, CarShield is a good value. Every plan through CarShield comes with a price lock guarantee, which means no matter how many repairs you need, the price you pay today will never change for as long as you cover your car.
Call now and save money with your price lock guarantee. It's not a matter of if your car will break down, but when. Call CarShield now before it's too late. Call 800-287-5264. 800-287-5264.
There's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. And checking your credit score or bank statements may not be enough to alert you. That's because identity threats appear in more places than you realize. Identity thieves can use your information to open loans, transfer home titles, even commit crimes.
Someone stole my information and tried to buy a car in my name.
LifeLock monitors for threats to your identity, including ones you may miss, and alerts you if there's an issue. And if you're a victim, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it.
If something happens, you have somebody fighting for you.
All plans backed by LifeLock's $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds.
I know LifeLock has me covered.
LifeLock, identity theft protection starts here. Call the number on your screen or visit lifelock.com/25now and use promo code 25now to save 25% on your first year of identity theft protection. Enroll now.
It's Black History Month, and here at ITL, we're sitting down with some whiskey.
Cheers to you.
So settle in as we recognize the Black folks who helped spearhead this spirit. In the Loop tonight at 9/8 Central, only on ScrIpps News.
We continue to follow the riveting testimony coming out of a South Carolina courtroom right now. Former attorney Alec Murdaugh on the stand for a second day in his double murder trial. Murdaugh is testifying against allegations that he murdered his wife and son in June 2021. Now, the prosecution says that he killed them to hide his financial crimes. We join Court TV's continuing trial coverage that's in progress right now.
A few months go by, a couple months go by, and you get confronted about your thefts from the law firm, correct?
September of 21.
And unlike June the 7th, when Jeannie confronted you, this time they had unassailable evidence, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, they had...
No wiggling out of this one, correct?
I didn't try to wiggle out of this one.
Well, you've been wiggling before, though, right? You wiggled when you stole your brother's money twice, correct?
Well, I admit almost all of these things, Mr. Waters, but that's one of the things that I take dispute with.
Which one?
That I stole that money that you're referring to.
You're going to dispute that? Let's hear about that then. Tell me why you dispute cashing that check twice.
I don't dispute cashing that check twice.
But you're going to tell this jury that you accidentally didn't realize that you were supposed to be receiving some $125,000 check or however $1,000 check 2 times. How many $120,000 checks do you receive?
I got that check, and this is several months after. I mean, you can look at my finances, and you can see how I was doing. I didn't balance a checkbook, but the fact of the matter is, when I got that check, I asked about it, and I was told mistakenly that it was for me, that I had participated in that year-end thing, which I did sometimes, not often, but sometimes. Apparently, a new check got cashed. I cashed that check. Then a year later...
Yeah, where did you keep that one for a year?
I don't know where it was. It was obviously in my desk. But, Mr. Waters...
So you found it in your desk?
No, I didn't find it.
Well, you said it was obviously in your desk. So you remember that? You remember finding it in your desk?
No, I remember when we...
Did you go to finance and say, I just found this year-old check? Is this right?
No.
No, you took it to the bank, didn't you?
No, sir. I didn't.
Not allowing Mr. Murdoch to answer the question.
So when this came up, when this came up, that check got cashed. There's no way that I can have a check in our law firm with the way accounting is, and that I can cash a check twice and think that's impossible. So to cash a check that's already been checked, it's going to throw, there's no question it's going to throw that off. Well, what happened is we used to get a rent check, we get little checks, I'd have checks, and they pile up, the small checks. That check got mixed in, and it got sent to the bank, and it got deposited.
Keep going.
And that was a year after.
Okay.
But I do dispute that I stole that money. That money.
All right. Well, I mean, you brought it up. So any of the other money you dispute stealing?
No, sir, you brought it up. I was just telling you that was the one I disputed.
Okay. All right. And you heard Ronnie Crosby and Mark Ball testify about that, correct?
I heard Ronnie and Mark testify about what they thought about it. Yes, sir.
Alec Murdaugh there under cross-examination by Creighton Waters, again being asked about a check or money that had come into the law firm, specifically a $125,000 check. Don't forget, Court TV providing live gavel-to-gavel coverage right now of the Alec Murdaugh trial. You can watch on your local Court TV affiliate. You can also stream it online through the website or on the app. And we will be right back.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average, and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
This is the Momsticle course. You gotta be quick, have your hands free, and always remember piano lessons. We're late. Oliver! So you need shoes smart enough to keep up. Kizik's are the truly hands-free shoe that can handle anything mothering throws at you. Where did you get that chainsaw? Amazon? It's time to upgrade to the original hands-free smart shoe. Free shipping, free returns, free the whales, free Britney. You get the point. Get your own Kizik's today.
This is what it feels like to file with TaxSlayer. Confident you'll get your guaranteed maximum refund.
I'm the refund boss. All your refunds belong to me.
Nope, not today.
File tax mallet.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund.
Before we let you go this hour, Dancing Cowboys. They were a big hit at a Tennessee nursing home, though it wasn't their usual venue. Alexander Cohen with ScrIpps News Nashville shows us what all of the excitement was about.
Here we go, boys. 5, 6, 7, 8.
The Ranch Hands Cowboy Les cast is used to performing on stage for bachelorettes and divorce parties.
I think it's making a big comeback at the minute.
So it makes sense that on Valentine's,
Let's get those hands clapping.
They had a private party booked. An 80th birthday at Willow Springs Senior Living in Spring Hill.
We had a great time putting smiles on all the ladies' faces.
The line dance video went viral on TikTok. They handed out roses, and some of the ladies got a little too into it. But what many didn't know is this is a memory care unit. Some of these women have Alzheimer's or dementia.
It was a great surprise to go down there, and it saw it straight on their faces straight away, which made us all smile and get even more involved in it.
For George, it was sentimental too.
Even just going there on that day, my grandfather suffered with dementia at the end of his life. So going back there and giving back to all those lovely women that day really hit home.
Oh, that's my mom right there clapping along.
They were booked by Katie Ingram. She did it for her mom, Barbara, and sister Molly, who live here.
My mom's on hospice at the facility. She also has progressed memory, and we didn't actually think she would make it to her 80th birthday. So I just said, let's do something incredibly sort of wild and out there.
Katie says Barbara came out of her shell and told her it was awesome.
What do you think? Awesome.
A moment in time that Katie and the Cowboys won't forget. I'm Alexandra Cohen for ScrIpps News.
I don't know, Del, but I think that they enjoyed it. And I think that you can dance like that, right? You can line dance?
This may be the first time. I got nothing.